Hey everyone, thanks for joining Learn to Play Games. My name is Lance, and in today's video, I've got a brand new expansion coming to Kickstarter for Moonrakers. That is Binding Ties. This is a new one from Ivy Studio and is a 3 to 5 player expansion, so you won't be able to use this one in smaller player games. And the main feature of this expansion is to encourage cooperation with other players by means of a reputation terminal that each player is going to gain and will place above their command terminal. These reputation terminals are going to track the reputation of each player that is playing in the game, and you'll be able to gain these or gain reputation by cooperating with other players to help them complete their contracts. You can also gain it with some of the new ship parts or pilots that are included in the game. Now, what happens once you gain reputation? Well, throughout your turn and potentially other players' turns, depending upon the actions you choose, you can spend that reputation to activate those different abilities, which are going to be listed on the bottom of that reputation terminal, as you're going to see a little bit later in the video. And these are going to have all kinds of different effects, including being able to gain additional credits, being able to spend them to take an additional action or draw out a card, all the way up to being able to gain an additional prestige point or negating a hazard die. So all kinds of powerful things that are going to add an additional layer to your game. And especially late in the game, whether or not you want to help a player potentially gain that 5th reputation point that they can then turn around and spend for prestige, potentially winning the game. So some really interesting dynamics within that. And like I said, this is a big one to encourage cooperation, but again, you don't have to. There are other ways. Just simply completing certain contracts will gain you reputation, as well as other things that you could potentially use where you don't have to focus on it completely. But it's another interesting thing that adds, again, that additional layer to the game and encourages that cooperation and player interaction, which is always a good thing. So as always, if you find these videos helpful, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to my channel. It's one of the easiest ways you can support channels like mine so we can continue to grow, be able to produce this content. I also, if you want to ring that notification bell, you can get notifications anytime I release new content. Now, like I said before, this is just the first expansion in Moonrakers. There are going to be additional ones that I will have some coverage on as well as they come up. And this one is going to include a number of different things. So in the video, I'm going to show you what this expansion includes, as well as going over the features of the expansion, and then showing you a sample turn to put everything together and show you roughly what that looks like. So let's go ahead and head to the table and we'll see what this one's all about. As I covered in the intro, the main feature of this expansion is faction reputation, and for this, each player is going to receive a reputation terminal that's going to track their faction reputation with each of their opponents. At the beginning of the game, you're also going to gain a colored token for each of the factions that's being played except for your own. And then this terminal is going to track your faction reputation for each one of them throughout the game, having between 0 to 5 of each of those. And throughout the game, as you gain these, which you'll gain them by allying with other players to complete contracts, being able to get them from certain ship parts or even from pilots, you will gain them. And as you do, you'll move these up on the different tracks. Then throughout the game, during your turns and that, you'll be able to spend them to carry out different things based on the number that you're spending of that faction reputation, which again will go from 1 to 5. Some of the top ones are all going to have you spending the same colored faction reputation token, and the bottom one will allow you to spend any color in combination. So if I wanted to do this one here, which requires 2 faction reputation, I could choose to spend a yellow and a green, or I could have spent the oranges. I have 2 in that as well. So it's up to me how I want to spend those. And these are going to give you all kinds of different abilities throughout the game, including if you can get 1 up to 5, you can spend it to gain a prestige even. So all kinds of different things for that. You're also allowed to trade and convert them. So if you have 3 in one, you can spend 3 to gain 1 in another one. So say I had a 4 here, I could choose to spend 3 on this one to convert this one and give me 1 more, giving me that precious 5 that I could potentially spend to get my prestige points. And so this is another tactic that players are going to have to pay attention to throughout the game, making sure that their opponents might not get to that 5 point, which will allow them to potentially get that prestige point. This expansion is also going to add new cards to each one of your decks. You're going to gain 10 new pilot cards, which will give you all kinds of different ways to either gain new faction reputation, spending it, or doing all kinds of other things. For example, our pilot here, you can play this as a damage 2 card, and you may trash the top card of your draw pile to gain 2 faction reputation. So all kinds of different ways of gaining faction reputation or spending or using it with the pilots. Next, you're going to have 10 new contracts, and these work exactly the same way as regular contracts, but they do give you a benefit where you can gain faction reputation when completing them. And again, this can be used as a negotiation chip, allowing or promising it to another player to aid you in that. You will also get 10 new ship parts, which again will give you different ways of either gaining, spending, or using the faction reputation or manipulating it in different ways to benefit you. You're also going to have 10 new objectives, and again, these will be focused on the faction reputation, whether it's gaining it or spending it or all kinds of other things with that. All right, so and the final thing I want to cover is a sample turn in action, just to kind of show you a little bit more about how this works. So for this example, I'm going to go ahead and use the blue player to be the active player, the leader for this round. So first off, he's going to choose whether he's going to go on a contract or if he's going to stay at the base. So I'm going to go ahead and go on a contract, of course, because I want to show how this works. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this one here, the Veil, and this happens to be one of the new ones. This one has 2 prestige for rewards, 1 of your reputation, and 5 coins. So from there, then he's going to see if anybody would like to help him, and both purple and orange offer their assistance for this. As he sees that some of the requirements are kind of steep, he's going to go ahead and accept both of those players' assistance with this. From there, then we're going to go into negotiations and try to determine how we're going to divide up both the rewards and the hazard, as there's going to be 2 hazard dice used for this one as listed on the card. So with my blue player, I'm going to say that I would like whoever wants a prestige must take a hazard token. So I'm going to go ahead and opt to take 1 for mine, and I will gain 1 prestige for that if we're successful in this. And the orange and purple player are both discussing that, and orange decides that he's going to offer to take the other one for the prestige, as the reputation was not going to help him, as it's an orange reputation and he's the orange player, so he cannot gain his own reputation color. So he's going to offer to take that, and the purple player will gain the orange prestige for assisting as well. And then as far as the coins, the 2 players that take the prestige will take 2 coins apiece, and purple will take 1. And the players agree on this. From here, then each player that has one of the hazard dice is going to go ahead and roll that. So we got 2 there, and on orange, he also rolls 2. So not looking too good for those 2 players. They might end up with any prestige. After that, then the players are going to go ahead and play their cards. So I'll go ahead and start with blue, since that is the leading player. So he's going to go ahead and start by playing a reactor. This lets him play 2 additional cards. He's going to go ahead and start off with some thrusters that lets him draw 2 cards. So he picked up another reactor. So I'm going to go ahead and play that as my second card, which lets me play 2 additional cards. So that's 2 of the blues so far that are required. And I'm going to go ahead and try another set of thrusters to get me 2 more cards. And did not help with that, so I'm going to go ahead and play a shield to try to stop one of those at least. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to stop the second one. All right, so far we've met the requirement 2 of the reactors and 1 shield. So we still have 4 reactors and another shield to go. So with my purple player, that player is going to go next, and I'm going to go ahead and play reactors. Lets me take 2 more actions. So I'm going to go ahead and do thrusters to draw 2 cards. And I'm going to go ahead and play another reactor. And I'm going to go ahead and do thrusters again to get 2 more cards. I have a third reactor, so lets me play 2 more cards. And I'm going to go ahead and play 2 shields just in case. That way then we have met the requirements of that. So we've met the requirements of everything except for the reactors. We just need 1 more reactor. So over to orange to go. I'm going to go ahead and play reactor to gain 2 more actions. And I have a second reactor that I can play. And after that, then I can just play the rest of my cards. Because that would be 1 and that. So then that would come down and I'd basically have 2 attack, which doesn't do me any good. So from there, then we would be able to distribute the rewards. So both my blue player and my orange player would gain the prestige for that. Each player that is in the working on this contract will gain a reputation for each other player. So purple helped out blue and orange helped out blue. So I'll gain reputation for both of them. Purple had blue and orange helping. And orange had blue and purple helping with that. From here, then we'll also have to distribute the rest. So purple took the second reputation. We have 5 coins to go out. So there's 3, 5. So we agreed that both of these players will get 2. And purple will gain 1. And then finally, we have to handle the hazards. So with the hazards, they're going to take 2 reputation away, unfortunately, and both blue and orange are going to lose theirs from that. And then from there, then we would move on to the next part of the turn for a blue player, but that will give you a good idea how the contract itself works. So then this would go to the discard pile, and you could go ahead and draw a new one to replace that. But that will give you a good idea of how that works. Hopefully that helps you in deciding whether or not this is one you want to back on Kickstarter. Like I said before, with this one, the big focus of this is just to encourage players to cooperate more. As you gain reputation points, you're going to be able to potentially spend those to trigger different abilities. It gives you more variety during your turn as well, or during other players' turns, depending upon which of the abilities you're trying to activate. So it just continues to grow the game in different ways. So I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you found this video helpful in deciding whether or not this is one you want to back and add to your collection. I hope you found this video helpful in deciding whether or not this is an expansion you'd like to add to Moonrakers. As I said before, this one, the big focus is adding additional incentive to cooperate in your larger games. Again, this one can only be used from 3 to 5 players. So if you're going to be adding this one, make sure you're playing larger scale games, as you will not be able to use this in solo and 2-player games. But this gives you a lot more variety within your game, and again is going to give you incentive to cooperate with other players as you're going to gain those reputation points. That will give you a lot of different options that you can do during your turn by spending those points to gain different abilities, being able to trigger different effects, and potentially even gaining prestige if you can get your tokens up high enough. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please post those in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Or swing by the Kickstarter's main page and drop any questions you have there as well. I'm sure the creators would love to hear from you and are more than happy to answer any questions you have. Until next time, I'll see you later.